Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and I'm slipping in a little intro here because as we know, I cut my last Q&A video into part 1 and part 2 because it was so long. And yeah, so here we go for part 2 of this repot Q&A. How are the plank plants doing? They're doing really well. I actually should do a update on that, like a 1-year update on the plants on planks because I'm more than a year in and I'm never going back. I absolutely love plants on planks. It is the only way for me moving forward. Where can I put this? I'm just gonna put this here. I hope that's not distracting. What's your favorite fertilizer and do you prefer natural or chemical? So I use the Tanks Green Stuff fertilizer. It is the Super Mix organic fertilizer. And I was actually just using it before I started filming this video. I was doing some like short form content. And it's just the best. I love that it's like a powder you can just put over the top of your soil. It's really easy to use. And because it is an organic fertilizer, you don't really have to worry as much about over fertilizing your plants and like burning them. Because if you're using a synthetic fertilizer, it's much more likely to burn your plants if you're not using it correctly or like using the right ratios and stuff. So I don't know, I just prefer products that are a little bit more lax and just like sprinkling it on and not having to worry about precise measurements. So yeah, that's what I use. It's really nice. I have it linked down below and I think I have a discount code for their entire website, DailyPlants10, you get 10% off. Okay, I've got one more plant that I think needs to be repotted right now and I'm gonna go grab that. So I'll be right back. Oh my God. Oh. Okay, so this is my Syngonium albo that I repotted a few videos ago. And when I was repotting it, I realized that this pot is actually just way too small. I wasn't repotting it. I was changing the trellis situation. So this is actually like a week or two later. What we have going on, I think the leaves have turned in a lot of cases, but just generally it still needs more time, but it's time to repot it. I went out and I got a bigger pot. Oh my God, that's heavy. It's a two-hander. Okay, it's a lot bigger than I should have bought, but you know, I wasn't thinking. And Syngonium, they just root like crazy, and maybe with it having more space, it'll be fine. I don't know. We're gonna fill this baby up. I got it from a local plant nursery, my favorite place in town to get pots, Helmy's. They just have such a nice selection of terracotta pots and I just love them. Like this is terracotta, but it's like a cool terracotta pot. It's not basic and I just really appreciate that. This question is, would you ever consider getting a cat? And the answer is pretty much no. And the reason being is I'm allergic to cats, which is really not fun. But yeah, I'm also allergic to dogs technically. Just pet dander in general affects my allergies. And there have been times where I have lived with a cat short term and it was fine for a couple of weeks, but then as time went on, it just was really not fun for me. It's like constant hay fever and that's just not worth it to me. Like I know there's so many people out there who are allergic to cats and they still have them, but like I'm just not one of those people. So if I ever did get a cat, it would be like a barn cat. I do really love hanging out with other people's cats, but I always have to like take a full body shower and like scrub my hands and face when I'm done. Advantages and disadvantages of working from home. I've been thinking about this so much because I don't know like what things are fully gonna look like after my baby is born, but I have been, like YouTube is really weird income wise. And unless you're like a really big YouTuber, it can be hard to make money enough to like support yourself. And so now I'm like stressed because I have a baby coming and I'm like, is this gonna be enough? So with that being said, I've been doing a lot of thinking job wise and like looking at maybe possibly getting a job after she's born. I don't know, it's a whole thing and I haven't like fully gone into that because I don't want to stress myself out right now, but it is something that I'm thinking I might have to do. A big pro is like not having to get dressed, like obviously just being able to kind of like work at your own pace and do whatever you, not do whatever you want, but just like, yeah, not have the stress of like your boss breathing down your neck, but that is really nice. Toss all of that in there. If you're an introvert and you don't really love the office small talk, obviously you don't have to deal with that, like at all. This trellis is like really giving me so many issues. This was supposed to work out so much better and it is just not. I think I have to cut off the legs of this trellis, like, because this is just not it. Okay, well, we weren't expecting to see like hardware store Becca right now, but I have to bring her out. I'm gonna go get my saw. Hold on. Okay, my camera died at the most inopportune time, but I cut these off. It was really easy. The wood is like very soft, so it just popped right off. Okay, let's see if that helped. Oh, there we go. Yeah, because now these pieces can just rest. And if I was like feeling it, if I was like really feeling it, maybe I could put this, like glue this or something back on. I don't think I need to though. That feels very, very secure. I don't even remember what I was talking about before that happened, because I kind of had to like clear the room for a second because there was sawdust. Oh, advantages and disadvantages of working from home. I think I said all the pros. For the cons, well, first of all, it's pretty lonely. Which, like, if you're an introvert, it's nice to not have to do the small talk thing, but at the same time, I don't have like colleagues or like coworkers. I mean, I guess I do kind of. They're like e-colleagues and e-coworkers, but it's just different from having like work friends who are like extremely privy to like your work drama. It's just like a niche type of friend that I kind of miss having. So that's definitely a disadvantage. Honestly, that might be the only disadvantage, if I'm being honest, from my perspective. This one has come up so much. Are you worried that you may not have enough time to care for your plants after baby comes? I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me, sometimes nice, sometimes not, of just being like, just wait till your baby comes and all your plants need water, or something like when you're pregnant, you get like 1,000 like just wait messages and comments and everything else. And it really is like one of my biggest pet peeves, because it's like, I'm already stressed. I'm already like worried about things. Like I literally don't need you to add to it. But anyway, nobody like has been all that aggressive about it. I've seen some pretty interesting stories online of other people being really aggressive. And maybe this makes me naive, but to be honest, I'm a little worried, but it's not like by far and away not my number one concern. When my mental health dips or I'm just like not feeling good, my plants do tend to take a hit. And because of that, I feel like I have plants that can handle that. And worst case scenario, like I ask Daniel to water them, or I take, 10 minutes a day to do a little bit of plant care, like set a timer for 10 minutes and I just do it. I don't know, I just feel like, how do I explain this? It's kind of like when you get a dog, like you get a dog and like you find out you're moving. It's like, well, I'm gonna bring my dog. I'm not gonna just ditch my dog. I guess there are people out there who do ditch their dogs for whatever reason. Trying not to be judgmental about it, there's reasons. But generally, like, these are my plants and they're a part of my life. And I'm not gonna like change my life around 100% just because there's a baby coming. And that's kind of how my philosophy is with child rearing in general. And I know that there's gonna be people out there who think that's really naive and stupid, and I really don't care what they think. But like, I'm not having a kid to like replace something in my life or fill a hole or something. Like, she's coming into my life that's already been established, and obviously things need to change for her because like she's a baby. But I'm still me. My husband is still him. We have things that we like, and that might look a little bit different, but like, am I going to like completely ditch my plants and like never take care of them because I have a newborn? No. Will there probably be a rough patch for me and my plants? Yeah, I'm realistic if anything. But do I think that they're really gonna truly suffer a ton? Maybe. Just kidding. No, I really think that I will still enjoy taking care of my plants, and yeah, there might be a lull in care, but it's nothing that they've never experienced before. Like, I get seasonal depression. I have had times where I just like really didn't care about them all that much, and I let myself feel that, and then I came back to them, and I lost, maybe 3 to 5 plants during that time, and I just got new ones and I moved on, So I'm kind of rolling with the punches in that regard. And like any big life change that happens, it's not even necessarily kids, but like your priorities shift, but truly the things that you like truly, truly love and care about will always prevail. And plants for me, I just know are going to prevail through this because they bring me a lot of joy. And I have a connection with my plants that's beyond, oh, I like when they give me new leaves and I like having internet clout for having XYZ plants. Like I would still love plants even if I wasn't doing YouTube and telling people about it. So I feel like my love for them will continue. Priorities are going to shift, but that doesn't mean that my plants are going to all die. Okay, favorite perennials. Just bought a house and I'm busy planting. Previous owner loved weed barrier and mulch only. Interesting choice. So my favorite perennials, definitely, like, it depends on where you live, of course. Like this person didn't say where they live, but I live in zone 6, so we can grow like pretty much anything. I love hydrangeas a lot. Like my favorite perennial, 100%. Hostas are a close second. Hostas might be my favorite perennial, and then hydrangeas are a close second because I just think having like foliar elements in your garden is really important, and I've kind of prioritized that over everything else because I just tend to like foliage plants. So yeah, I have a lot of hostas around. I just think they're really beautiful, really easy, and they get bigger and bigger every year, and you can like split them and move them around. Don't sleep on yarrow. Yarrow is a really great plant, and if you have one, like if you have space, let it spread and just put out the most beautiful flowers. You can like use them for medicinal purposes, I'm pretty sure. And also if you can like cut them and then they'll keep flowering. So yarrow is really great. And they last a really long time into like the colder seasons too. Those are probably like my top 3 though. So check those ones out if you haven't already. They're kind of like the basic ones, but I think the basic ones are good. Oh, also Brunera. Amazing. Jack Frost Brunera is so beautiful. I think some people pronounce it Brunera. So many different ways to pronounce plants, but that one is a really good one. Okay, this question is, if you could design a plant, what would it be like and what would its special power be? Oh my gosh. Okay, so if I could like combine a bunch of different plants together, I would want the growth habit of, I think the growth habit of like philodendron. I like the aerial root situation so that it's easy to propagate. And I'd want like big velvety leaves like anthurium. And then, I would love for it to be optional trailer or climber because then you can have a variety. And then if it had a special power, I would want it to be like medicinal in some way. Like maybe it's like an energy plant, like it puts off like little flowers, and if you like crush them up, it's sort of like the equivalent of having like an afternoon coffee or something. Okay, but this is what is this plant even called? Oh, it's a ponytail palm, and it is looking worse for wear. This is one of those plants that was like extremely neglected in my office, and I just wanted to like get a temperature check on it, like see what it's up to. I never repotted it out of its original soil, and I feel like it could use some fresh soil. So I'm just gonna massage a lot of this away, and then we're just gonna repot it back into the same pot. I love this pot so much. It's so pretty. Just absolutely adore it. Should I use De La Tanks or orchid soil for my orchid? I would say use orchid soil, and orchid soil is basically just orchid bark. And the reason that I say that is I haven't tested out orchids with De La Tanks. I think that it would be too dense for them because I think typically orchids get like just orchid bark, maybe a little bit of something for fertilizer, maybe liquid fertilizer. I don't know. I'm trying not to gag because this soil smells like dry soil, and we know that I don't like the dry soil smell. But yeah, I just haven't taken care of a ton of orchids, and I wouldn't suggest putting it in De La Tanks just because I don't think that it's the right growth environment for it. And I've also never tried it, so I'm not going to tell you to try it for a plant that I've never done it. Would you consider creating other potting medium mixes, maybe for outdoor gardens? I don't think so. The only other soil that we were kind of thinking would be like a moisture lover, so something more for like ferns, calathea and stuff like that, just because the De La Tanks is a bit too airy for those types of plants. So typically when I am potting those plants up, I will add like a little bit more cocoa coir or something to it. But I don't really have that many of those plants just because they just don't really work for me. So I haven't really pushed to do that. But if that is something that you guys would be interested in, you can definitely let me know and I can talk with them about it, and we can start running some experiments on some possible soil mixtures. But yeah, it just hasn't been a super big initiative for me because I don't typically keep those plants anyway. And I like to stick with what I know, like because I do a lot of aeroids and other types of houseplants like that. I feel comfortable saying that the De La Tang soil, it would be good for them because I have kept these plants for years in this soil and I know, but I don't know. We'll see. Let me know if that would be interesting at all to you. This question is, how do you feel prepared to have a child? We're the same age and I feel like I'm still a baby. So yeah, okay, your late 20s and like 30s I think is such a weird time because everybody's kind of doing something different. Like none of my friends have kids. I mean, I do have a few friends that have kids, but not like my core, like best friends, besides Nicole, she has kids. The point is, I'm the first of like my college friend group to have kids. It is kind of weird and I was really hoping that I wouldn't be the first, but you know, I also kind of expected to be the first. I was one of the first to get married and I'm also like the oldest sister, so I'm used to being the first one to doing things, you know what I mean? Okay, this plant has just like completely fallen out of its pot and that root system is so tiny. This is cactus mix from cactus mix from Tank's Green Stuff. And I just feel like this pot just isn't, I feel like it's too shallow and it dries out too fast. So I'm gonna put it in a different pot and see if that helps the root system grow. The plant seems healthy, but like it just like toppled over one day and I was like, oh my God, there's like no root system on that plant. We're gonna put it in this pot. So it has like a little bit more depth, but not a ton more, but just a little more. And we're gonna put it in De La Tanks. So Daniel and I will have been married for 4 years. Around when the baby's born, like right before. So I really wanted our relationship to be well established. I wanted us to know each other really well. Like we dated for like 2 years before we got married, which for some people isn't that long. For me and the community that I grew up around, that was plenty of time to get to know somebody. In hindsight, we probably didn't need to get married when we did, but like I really wanted to and I don't know, we did. Obviously, I wouldn't change who I married. Like I love Daniel and I would have married him like 4 times over. But you know, we could have waited a little bit longer. But I got married when I was 23. Daniel is a couple years older than me, so he was a little older. But I just wanted our relationship to be well established first. And then as far as like feeling settled home-wise, like we own our home, we are gonna be here for a couple of years. And so it just kind of felt right in that. And then feeling it for myself, like that I personally was ready. I mean, I gave myself like a year in advance to prepare and I wasn't really doing anything like crazy to prepare. I just told myself like last October, okay, well maybe in a year we will start trying to have a baby. And I kind of got cold feet like maybe around last summer. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready, it feels so soon. And then when October came around, I was like, no, actually, I feel ready. It's time. I've given myself like a year to mentally prepare for this. And also it was a lot of letting go of all of the things that I wanted to do before I had kids. And I had to kind of like reframe my mind around having kids in general because for so many people, and I don't mean this as like a criticism to parents, I'm just entering the ring here, but so many parents just like shut down their lives completely because they had children. And if that's your style, that's your style, but that's not mine, as I spoke about earlier with like my plant collection and stuff. And so once I realized like it's okay to still want to be ambitious and like have career goals and like have travel things you want to do and like still want to like live a full life alongside your kids and not have your kids like completely like ransack your life and everything you love, that made me feel so much better about having kids and like feel less, like so much less afraid of the changes that would happen. Obviously there's going to be so many changes, so much is about to change in our lives and I do get anxious about that obviously. But the point is like we've decided that our lives are still going to be really full and happy and we're still going to do the things that we love. So it's okay that we're going to have kids and like that might slow things down or that might like change the timeline. But we're really happy to be on the ride. And also like COVID was a really big thing. Like I feel like COVID like took the years from me that I would have spent traveling a ton. And that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do before I had kids was just like travel more. And then I just clicked to me that like, just because I have kids doesn't mean that I can't travel. It doesn't mean I can't solo travel. It doesn't mean that I can't go out and do these things. So it was kind of a lot of like self-reckoning like over that full year of time that I gave myself to like prepare and be ready. And you know, if it came to it and at the end of that year I wasn't ready, then we wouldn't have done it. Because it was me that was like not ready yet. Because Dan's like, I'm ready. You just say the word. Which I love that about him, because he's like very steady and he's just a really good partner, and that made me feel so much more secure also to have kids. So yeah, and don't feel bad if you're my age. I'm 27, like I'm very young. So don't feel bad if you're 27 or 30 or whatever and like you're not ready to have kids. Like people have kids at all different times. People have kids like in their 40s, like well into their 40s. And those kids live amazing, wonderful lives with their parents who were ready for them. So I think society as a whole, like millennials and Gen Z, have sort of reshaped child rearing to be this thing that like, if you're not ready, you don't need to do it. Like it's not this rite of passage anymore. It's kind of like it's an option, really. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't. No one's going to judge you. At least no one our age is going to judge you. But that is going to be the end of this part 2 of this repotting session. This was a very long repotting session, and I really just enjoyed chatting with you and hanging out. So thank you for thank you for asking me these questions and just wanting to know more about my life. I really just seriously appreciate you guys being here so much. I'm really excited to see how things are going to be shaping up this summer. We already have so much new growth. It's the best. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to hear more about the whole like baby and family thing, you can head over to my vlog channel. I'm going to be putting out a 3rd trimester pregnancy Q&A video over there that will go more into depth on just baby stuff. So you can head over there to check that one out. But otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye.